Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Dolly Strong Credit Union, California Resources Corporation, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, Bakersfield City School District, and Kern High School District, with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Do the Math. I'm Michael.
And I'm Cindy, and for math homework help, call in Bakersfield 636-4357. Everywhere else, 1-866-636-6284. You can email us at dothemath@kern.org, and we're also online at dothemathonline.net, and on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
All right, nicely done. As a matter of fact, I just had one of our associate producers show me lately the Facebook and Instagram and things like that. So all of you that participate in those social media things with Do the Math, I thank you for that, because we do appreciate all of you taking part to actually follow us and make comments and things like that. So thank you to all of you that are on social media with Do the Math. In studio we have Elijah. Elijah, where do you go to school and what grade are you in?
I go to school at Thompson Jr. and I'm in 8th grade.
How is 8th grade?
It's been fine.
It's been fine?
Yeah.
Anything too easy or too difficult so far this year?
No, not really.
All right, so it's been a smooth year thus far.
Yeah.
All right, now that's the Timberwolves, correct?
Yep.
All right, so next year you're going to be going to high school.
Yes.
Do you have any idea where you're going to high school yet?
No, I do not.
Okay, is there anything that you look forward to when you go to high school? Like anything you might be getting involved in or something maybe? Or?
Well, I hope I go to the same high school as my cousin.
Oh, good. And where's that at?
I do not know.
Okay, but you want to go to high school with your cousin, that way you can be with your cousin and stuff, right?
Yeah.
All right, good. So what kind of math are you doing right now in 8th grade?
Right now we're doing translations, reflections, and rotations.
Okay, do you like that stuff?
Yeah.
It's kind of fun, you know what I mean? Because it's not always just multiplying and maneuvering numbers and stuff like that, but we're going to get to a little bit of that in a little while. You ready?
Yep.
All right, before we do any of that, let's first take a look at today's Math in the News. All right, today's Math in the News. We are always excited and fortunate enough to have somebody in studio with us, and we do appreciate Steve coming down. How are you today?
Wonderful.
Now, you are the Chief of Staff for
sir.
the Kern County Superintendent of Schools office.
Correct.
For people that may not understand what the Chief of Staff does, could you kind of give us an insight into that?
Well, we refer to it as the Chief of Staff.
I
was
going to wait for you to say
a variety of things, but mostly I help help our superintendent with whatever issues she may have to deal with on a daily basis. I work with our amazing communications team, and I oversee the California Living Museum. I also get to work with the Dream Center, which serves our emancipated and homeless foster youth.
Okay, well, I know that Mary Barlow, the superintendent, has a lot of things going on. So if you're there to help Mary, you've got a lot going on, because when Mary was down here talking with us, she told us kind of what her responsibilities were, not even all of them, and it's quite a bit when you're running a whole county this size.
Yeah, and our superintendent of schools has a reach into a lot of programs. We help a lot of different people and community, and so it's amazing. We have a great time doing it.
All right, well, I said that, or you said, part of your responsibilities and duties are working with CALM.
Yes, sir.
So that is the California Living Museum.
Correct.
And why are you here today? I know that you're here for a
No,
special
you see the
reason, right? Because I see the
shirts,
Colonel. So what's up with the Colonel?
So I am the Colonel of CALM. Actually, this is my train shirt. I'm a certified engineer for the Central California Children's Railroad, which is our all-volunteer railroad out at CALM. And tonight we are doing our media sponsor night for a new event called Autumn Nights, which is a walk-through light show, brand new event that'll happen the whole month of October. And we are, there it is on the screen, and we are actually doing a sponsor and media night tonight. We open to the public tomorrow. And so I'm here tonight to welcome everyone, encourage them to attend and ride the train. That's one of the benefits that they'll see at Autumn Nights.
Good. So it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sundays from
Correct.
6 to 9.
Yep.
And it'll go all the way up until the 30th of October.
Yep. Yes, sir.
And this is something kind of what Holiday Lights used to be, but
Correct.
changing a little bit.
Yes, so we're partnering with Josh Barnett and Lightasmic, which is our longtime partner, with our Holiday Light Show. This is our 20th year coming up, and we've been named 3 or 4 years in a row as one of the top 10 light shows in the country.
Right, not just
No, in the
California,
whole nation.
the whole nation.
Exactly, by USA Today, and that's due to Josh and his amazing talents. So we worked with Josh again on a Halloween show because we wanted to give people the opportunity. People love the drive-through. We've transitioned to that during the light show, Holiday Lights. It's colder, families can come together, but we wanted to give that walk-through experience. Josh has done other Halloween shows in other communities, so pitched the idea here. We tried to do it last year, didn't quite work out, so we retooled and said, let's hit it with a bang this year, and we kick off tomorrow night.
They asked because we know that Holiday Lights has been very successful for a
Yes.
long time here in Kern
Correct.
County. And I was going to ask if they had done anything previous with other communities for
Halloween.
autumn and Halloween and things like
They
that.
have, and it's been super successful.
Okay, I know that Elijah has a question for you about
sure.
COM.
Hey, Elijah.
What type of exhibits do you have at Comp?
Great question. So CALM exhibits only native California animals. So that's really our niche. There's other zoos, you may see giraffes and elephants, but our founder almost 40 years ago wanted to create a place where you could showcase native California animals, mountain lions, bears, those things that are native to California, because he traveled all over the world and he said, you know, our animals right here are just as interesting. So he created CALM, and that's really what we celebrate. So we have mountain lions, we have 2 California condors. At a certain point, the California condor only got down to 20 existing birds in the whole world. They captured them, they bred them, they released them back to the wild, and now that population is thriving. So part of what we do as CALM is exhibit animals that can't be released to the wild, and then we are the biggest wildlife rehabilitation in this part of the valley. So we take in animals, rehabilitate them, and return them back to the wild.
So there you go. Now you kind of know what they do at COM. So maybe you and your family have an opportunity to go to COM and see the exhibits and the animals. And even more importantly, you might be able to go on a night where you can check out Autumn Nights and check out the lights.
Exactly.
So how long have you been involved with COM? Because I know it's not like your first year.
No, I've been involved probably about 15 years with CALM. And so part of my job is to support the staff, the amazing staff that's out there. We have animal keepers, we have maintenance folks, we have our director. And the thing people don't realize about CALM is we're open, you know, to the public 365 days a year, or it's 360.
Right.
So it's a place that people can come, celebrate our native plants and animals, and really just have a great family experience.
Well, I know the Colonel's probably itching to get out there and do some work
I got
with
the
the
train.
trains.
I have to blow the whistle.
Get
so
that
I'm ready.
going.
Yeah.
My next question is, and you may not know, but with you doing Autumn Nights, it ends on October 30th.
Right.
When do Holiday Lights start? That's right around Thanksgiving, correct?
Actually, yeah, November 26th. So
You've got a month basically to turn
we have
it
a
around.
month. In fact, when people come to Autumn Nights, they're going to park at the soccer park.
Oh, because they need to
And
get.
they'll either walk or shuttle up, because we are already setting up for Holiday Lights, the drive-through in our parking lot. So as you go during the month of October, you'll see all the lights in the parking lot, and that'll be a little preview
Well, a
of
sneak
what you
peek
can
of what-
expect.
Yeah,
Exactly.
there you go. All right. Well, you
Yeah.
know what? We know you're a busy guy.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Elijah,
coming down
nice
and
to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
talking
Yeah,
with
thank
us
you.
about Autumn Nights. As a matter of fact, if you would like a free pass to go to Autumn Nights, all you have to do is give us a call, 636-4357. We have phone tutors available until 5:30 this afternoon, and you can actually give us a call any Tuesday or Wednesday during October, and you'll be able to get yourself one of those passes. Do the Math is also fortunate enough to be able to go around to different businesses and find out how they apply math in what they do. And we were fortunate enough to visit the Bakersfield Police Department and their bomb squad.
We're here today with the Bakersfield Police Department. It's training day. I'm joined right now by Detective Joe Woods. Joe, thanks for having us today.
Appreciate you guys coming. Thank you.
Busy day here. Lots
Very
going
long.
on. Tell us about it.
So, in an average training week, we try to incorporate all sorts of levels of training from bomb squad via the robots and actual bomb squad practices. But then one of the funner ones is we get to be involved in explosive breaching. The point of explosive breaching is to basically assist more tactical units like the SWAT team with making explosive breach into any type of structure to help facilitate the apprehension of the suspect or make an entry in general.
So there's a place you got to get into. You
Yep.
can't get in just by knocking and opening your door. Sometimes you got to go a little bit of a step further.
Yeah, there are some ways you can manually breach a door, but sometimes if we assume that it's a more hasteful situation, we need to get in there now, this is the most effective way to get inside.
So we've got a little bit of a sampling here as far as some of the tools that you might utilize. Walk us through what we're looking at here.
Sure, so every member of the bomb squad goes through certification to be licensed as an explosive breacher. When you are licensed, then you can go through the actual process of creating an explosive charge to defeat whatever your obstacle is going to be. In most situations, it's a front door. We can make all different types of charges, from linear shaped charges to tamp and push charges to cutting charges. What you see here in front of you is just a linear strip charge. It's designed to go on the door, hinge side, and upon detonation, will basically cut the door from top to bottom, allowing it to fall inward.
Really the job is to make the entry points easier to get through into with as little damage as possible.
That's correct.
But if it's necessary, it's necessary.
Well, the goal is to use as little amount of explosive as possible to defeat it. We don't want to overdo it and blow this door to smithereens. We want just use enough to cut it down so it falls inward and doesn't hurt anybody involved.
Now that requires a little bit of estimation and calculation, and we'll talk a little bit about that later on in a further segment. Tell us a little bit about some of the other tools that we have here.
Okay, so what you'll see here is the actual strip charge itself. It consists of 7 feet of PETN, which is a type of explosive that is commonly used by our team. It's in the shape of a string or a deck cord, as we call it. It by itself is safe. This is a tactical firing assembly, which will be utilized to cap into the charge itself for detonation. It allows 40 feet of lead time to get away from the charge so we can be at a safe distance. We would then use an actual initiator, which would plug into the tactical firing assembly and actually cause detonation of the device itself. Most of these tools require some type of ammunition or explosive, so we'll use primers that are designed to be fed into the initiator that upon detonation will cause the chain reaction of the shock tube detonating, firing assembly, and then the charge going off itself. All breachers carry the bag with us upon approaching the door. It keeps all of our tools handy. It allows us to have other tools if we need to secure lines to doors or make modifications. So it's all kind of a handy bag to have while you're going up to set your charge.
Now there's a lot of very specialized tools here. One of the things that grabs my attention from a math perspective is something that maybe you don't always consider as a necessary tool, but I mean, right here, just a standard tape measure.
Exactly. Part of the biggest thing is you don't just guess. You don't grab an amount of explosive and say, oh, it looks about right. You need to know exactly how much you need, because we are accountable for every inch of detonation that happens.
You know, speak a little bit to the importance of the sense of numeracy, number sense, as well as precision when it comes to some of these measurements.
The biggest thing that we value in precision is safety. The calculations that we're performing are designed to allow us to know exactly how far away specific items are going to be from the charge. That can cause damage. If we're not precise and accurate, we could put people in jeopardy and harm if we don't know for a fact how far the safe zone should be on any charge.
Now it's training day, so a little bit later on in the program, we're going to actually put this into practice with some of our facilities here. Coming up in our next segment, we're actually going to walk through the preparation, talk a little bit about some of the calculations, some of the reference materials, some of the units that you utilize, and some of the actual process that some of the students watching today are actually learning about in their classroom at the moment. So we're going to be able to tie all of that together coming up a little bit later on. But for now, we're going to go ahead and send it right back to the studio. Mike, take it away.
All right, thanks for that, Devin. Also, thank you to the Bakersfield Police Department and especially the Bomb Squad for having us out, learning a little bit more about what they do. 636-4357 is the phone number. We do have phone tutors available until 5:30. Call in. We do one of your math problems. You've got a free pass to Autumn Nights at COM that the Colonel, Steve, was just in talking to us about right there. In studio, we have Elijah, an 8th grade math student, well, 8th grade student from Thompson Jr. High School. And you ready to get to work?
Yep.
All right, head on over to the board, you and Cindy. We'll take a look at the first problem together, and you guys can go ahead and work on it. So we need to find the coordinates of the image, and it's at 9, 5. So I don't know if you want to write 9, 5, maybe someplace on the side or something. And so we have 9, 5. After being translated 5 units to the right.
All right. I like how you used an arrow to represent it. So translated, what does that mean?
Translated is when you move a unit a certain amount. So like when you move a unit a certain amount to the right, up, left, or down.
Okay.
And then for the amount we're translating it is 5. So we're translating the x value and not the y value. The y value is always on the right unless you're rotating it. So when translating, all you gotta do is add the 9 or the number on the x value and then add it with your other number that you're translating it.
So with the amount that it told you to translate it by?
You have to translate it by 5 and then that makes 14.
And how'd you know to make it for the x value? What told you that it was the x value in this case?
Well, how I know it's the x value is because the x value is always on the left and less rotated, and it didn't tell us that it had been rotated at all.
Okay. And then since it's right and x goes this way, right?
Yep.
And y goes this way, the y would be up or down, not to the right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Okay, so there's your new value.
Yep, and then you keep the 5 the same because you're not going up or down.
Okay. So how that would look on a graph then, right? It would just show that the point moved over, basically, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so your new coordinates are 14, 5.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Elijah, what I'd like you to do is we're going to take a look at the different options that we have here for answers. The first one is 14, 5, which is exactly what you got. Are you able to tell me why would somebody have put 9, 10? Why would somebody put 9, 10 for that answer?
How someone could have gotten 9, 10 is they mistakenly added the 5 with the 5 from the y value, which will make 10.
All right, so it's important to know if it's going left or right that you're working with the x-axis like you explained, as opposed to up and down on the y-axis.
Right.
Yes.
Nicely done. Let's take a look at another problem right now. And here we've got point A, which is at 7, 9. So point A is at 7, 9. And it's translated 1 unit to the left. They want to know now, what are the coordinates for point A?
Well, since we know this is the x and this is the y, since it's not being rotated, and since we're moving 1 to the left, that means it's going for the x value. It only goes for the y value if it's going up or down. So now we have to add the 7 and then the 1, which is 8, and then that's how we get.
So real quick, if you go to the left, so you're going this way, what's going to happen?
Oh, you have to subtract it when you're going to the left.
Because you're going towards like the negative side, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to take 1 away because you want to get to where you're before it.
Yeah. So that'll make it 6. So it'll be 6 over 9 because we're not going up or down, so it'll stay 9.
So So your new coordinates will be 6,9, yeah.
All right, so you're feeling pretty good about translations.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at the next problem. Now what we're going to do is a reflection. So the coordinates are at 4, 4. And we're going to want to know what the coordinates are after a reflection over the x-axis.
So a reflection over the x-axis, so that would be y.
You already know the rules, huh, for it? You're just gonna draw it out so people know what a reflection looks like.
So the point will be, that's the origin, so 0, and then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we go 4 up, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So to get a reflection, the the point has to be in the exact same 4 by 4. So to usually get it, you would sometimes just count down. So count it down. So start here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you count here from 1, 2, 3, 4.
So we were going over the x-axis, correct?
Yeah.
I can't remember what he said. Was it the x-axis, Mike?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so you counted to see how far away it was, and then you just flip it over, so it's the same distance away, and you ended up right there. And then, so that's gonna give you your new coordinates?
Yes. So this is the negative y value, because the positive y value is up and the negative y value is down, and then the x would still stay the same because we're not getting reflection over the y axis. So that still stay positive. So if your point would now be at regular still positive 4, since the x-axis didn't change, and now negative 4 for your y value.
So there we go. And that's how we got right there. And so you were going to write the rule, which is what you were basically explaining right here, that the y is going to change. Is that what you're going to? Okay. So go ahead and show it up there how the rule would look, and then you can show what it equals, just for people that want to see both.
Okay. So you would have to subtract this 1 by 8 to get negative 4. So.
Well, I think this rule right here is you just do the opposite of whatever your y value was.
So you do the opposite of whatever your y value was, and that's how you get.
Yeah. So you can just write it from there to there, and then we showed it here how it would look when you reflected over that. And then if you were going over the y-axis without actually solving it out, what would it look like? Where would it end up?
It would end up it'd be about right there.
Yeah, because you'd be flipping it that way, right?
Yes.
So it just depends on which axis you're flipping it over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you guys are on a roll. You ready for one more?
Sure.
That's what I want to hear. Sure, here we go. All right, so erase the board. Let's take a look at one more. Line segment has endpoints A. So A is at 4, 8. And the other endpoint B is at 4, 7. Determine the coordinates of the endpoints after the rotation. And the rotation is going to be 90 degrees clockwise around the origin.
Okay, so 90 degrees clockwise. For 90 degrees clockwise, you would switch your y value and x value, and then you would make the x value negative.
So before we do it, just to explain, in case they're not sure what a rotation is, what is it doing exactly to your line segment?
You're essentially just turning it a bit.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like turning a doorknob, you're rotating it, right? So
Yeah.
you're just turning it around a little bit. So we're going 90 degrees which way?
Clockwise.
Okay.
Right.
I don't know why I didn't remember. Okay, so go ahead. So I'm just for,
So you would have
I can't fit that.
So you would have to switch these two numbers, and then the 4 would turn negative for the clockwise. Wait, I think it
So
might be,
clockwise will be turning this way.
I think the y is negative then, but you still switch
Yeah,
it.
because if you think of like what it would look like, right? I don't know if I left enough for 8, but, oh, 8 would be this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. It would be like up here for 4, 8, and then 4, 7's right here. So you'd be turning it down here.
Yeah,
right?
and that's in the negative y
So your
value.
x isn't changing as far as the sign.
Okay, now if
goes.
you've got 4, 8 and 4, 7, I think you had 4, 8, and then maybe you stopped at 3, 8 with your other line segment up there. Your
Oh, you're
endpoint.
right, I did.
So
I go down, not
instead of-
not sideways. Yeah.
There we go.
So it's like this. There we go.
So once you swap those two, you have to turn the y value negative. Since it's turning on to the negative y
Because
axis.
it's going to end up in here where the y is negative.
Yes.
Okay. And you know to swap it because it's turning a different direction.
Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead. So you.
Okay, so you would do the same for this one. So you would turn. You would,
Wait, before we go, if we look at where that would be, right? So you swapped them. Where would that end up?
That would end up.
Well, so this number still represents your sideways. So it'd be going -8. Positive. It would end up here, which is actually the counterclockwise.
Yeah.
And you want to go clockwise.
Oh yeah, so this way.
So this one's the one you want to switch instead of the 8.
So this would be.
You want to make this one the opposite sign so that it goes here.
So it would be negative or still stay positive.
So if you, because if we graph the one you have, I don't know why that didn't erase, but if you graph the one you have, you're going to go -8, positive. You'd be over here somewhere.
Oh yeah.
So you're right, you're going to flip-flop them, but then since we want to go still positive this way, but down now, we want to make this one the negative.
Got it. So we'd go negative.
I don't know if there's 8 on there, is there? Because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it's right here. And then down 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, there you go. So there's point A. Do you remember what it's called when you do something to it?
A prime.
There you go.
Because we always add a prime
Yeah,
so
so-
whenever you rotate it.
Exactly, or translate it or reflect it. We didn't
Yes.
talk about that before, but yes, okay. And it looks like just a little apostrophe mark. Okay, so what about B prime? Where will that end up?
B prime, so you would switch them again. So that would be 7 in the 7, switching with X, and then it would still turn out to be -4. And then since we know that one there's 8, we just go up. No, we go to the left one.
Yeah. And so this would be B
B prime.
prime, and then it would look like that. Yep.
All right.
Which
you
makes
guys
sense, because if you turned it, it's going to flatten out.
Yes.
Feeling pretty good with those?
Yeah.
All right, nicely done. So Elijah, for your great effort so far this afternoon, you've got yourself a meal courtesy of our friends at the Broken Yoke Cafe, so congratulations on that. Hopefully you have an opportunity to go over, and I know they have some outstanding breakfast, and I think they're open for lunch also, but I know I've only been there for breakfast, so hopefully you get an opportunity to head over there. We do have phone tutors available until 5:30 this afternoon, but we also have another opportunity to go out and visit with the Bakersfield Police Department in Devin and see what's going on next.
Back here with the Bakersfield Police Department. It's training day, but that also means it's planning day. Back here with Detective Joe Woods. We're getting ready for our big door breach practice.
Yep.
And one of the things we were talking about earlier is the stages of planning and reference as far as how you'd calculate exactly how much of what material to use, not just for the task at hand, but also for the impact that might have around that. So walk us
Correct.
through some of the considerations that you may need to plan for.
Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, the biggest consideration is safety. And also on our department, it's accountability. If I'm gonna make a charge that's gonna explode, I need to know exactly how much material I'm going to detonate. And because of knowing how much I have, I can then calculate what the effects of that charge are gonna be. And we have formulas and we have sheets that we complete for our superiors and show them exactly what's gonna happen when this charge goes off, so they can be more comfortable making their decision about whether or not they're gonna let us do it or not.
There's a few materials that we were looking at before that help with this to kind of work it out. So let's talk a little bit about the calculation worksheet.
Yeah.
One of the terms we're going to see quite a bit is an abbreviation, PSI. Walk us through PSI, what that means, and how that affects some of the decisions that you'd make.
Well, PSI is for pounds per square inch, and the idea of understanding the PSI pressure as it relates to the national equivalent of TNT is the explosion creates a amount of pressure that extends away from the breach point. So having the exact measurements down can help us know exactly how far we're going to be from what items, and then we can reference a graph to know what's going to cause damage based on what PSI.
So from a scientific perspective, explosions push air outwards, and so that can have an impact surrounding the area in a circle surrounding that point of detonation.
Correct. The most scary part people think about when they watch Hollywood, they watch movies, oh, there's a big blast of fire, or there's maybe some shrapnel. Yes, that stuff is dangerous, but the worst part is the pressure. It hurts your insides, and some people don't even know that they're hurt. And that can be extremely detrimental, especially to what we do. We don't want to see anybody get hurt. We don't want to hurt anybody. So having the math precise is the most important factor.
Talk a little bit about the impact of the radius as we're sketching this out.
So again, I'm going to reference this sketch here when we talk about our charge detonating. We know that the atmosphere is going to be impacted by the charge as it expands outward in this circular pattern or in a 180 degree pattern. And in this sketch, I've modeled some potentials for vehicles parked outside of a residence. And the PSI graph here can show you at what exact points these vehicles are going to be impacted by the blast pressure. And then I can use the math equated using the formula from the amount of explosive that we converted to TNT, and then compare that to the graph to know when a windshield's going to break, or a concrete wall is going to crack, or wood's going to splinter, things like that. And that all adds up to not just property damage, but public safety in general.
So in this instance, with some of these formulas here, when calculating how this might impact the radius, the D stands for distance.
That's correct.
And so in calculating the pounds per square inch, we're able to use that as a variable with a constant here. In this case, it'd be 0.46. So in this case, what does 0.46 represent?
So 0.46 is going to be the PSI value on distance for actually TNT. So we take the amount of explosive we have. Now we have explosive in our strip charge here. Our actual det cord is explosive. And then in our tactical fire assembly, we have a blasting cap and more det cord here. So we convert that math here. It basically moves across its graph. The relative effectiveness is always going to be 1.66 in regards to TNT. And then we add up the variables, plug and play. We divide by 7,000 being the agreed upon equivalent to convert that down to your PSI distance. And then we'll do the cube root of whatever your PSI value is to generate that number, which can then be a reference when finding your distances via PSI.
So as students start to explore each of these elements, cube roots students may not see until early high school, but if they understand what a square root is, the same idea comes through as well. We can see elements of multiplication, constants, formulas, and how to utilize these expressions to come up with appropriate radiuses that might impact the damage that could be caused based off of the different quantities that you'll see.
Yes. And for purposes of safety for humans, we like to reference 4 PSI as the gold number, the gold standard. So for this specific charge that we've created, 9 feet is the closest we ever want to be to it to be safe. Anything inside of 9 feet, we now risk serious bodily injury based on the blast itself.
Now you mentioned something else during our conversation before our segment here, that this isn't one person that would do this calculation all by themselves for the sake of accuracy.
That's correct. We always have 2 technicians work the math. They go completely opposite of each other, then they come back together. If something's wrong, then they both sit down together, they redo it, and then they try to make the math correct. There's never an assumption. We don't let, it looks kind of okay, work. It's got to be exact. And that's, again, for safety and accuracy.
It's better to be precise than proud.
Exactly.
So when we come back, we're going to put all this into practice. We're going to translate it into real action. And this might be some of the most action-packed segments that we're going to have in Do the Math history. So we hope you'll join us. For now, we're going to send it right back to the studio. Mike, take it away.
All right, thanks for that, Devin. And the most action-packed in history, I am anticipating what is coming up. I have an inkling of what's going to happen, but that's a pretty bold statement, the most action-packed, and this is our 21st season of doing this. Can you believe we've been doing this for 21 years?
Me?
I don't look that
Him?
old, do I?
Sorry, I can't believe it, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, 21 years is a long time.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you're 8th grade, so you got to be around 13, 14 years old?
Yep.
Yeah,
13.
so, long time. All right. You want to do math that long? 21 years?
Not really.
Nobody wants to do math that long, really. Well, let's think about it for a second. You've been doing math since you were in kindergarten, and you're in 8th grade now, so you've been doing math about 9 years.
Yeah.
right? You're going to go to high school. You got 4 more years of math.
Yep.
Right? So there's 12, 13 years. Not too bad, huh? You're getting up there yourself right there. All right, anyway. Hey, you know what? Thanks once again to Devin. We'll check back in with those guys a little bit later on. But right now we have some breaking math in the news. There we go, breaking news, math in the news. Breaking earlier today at Quinn Caterpillar, where Nicola Corporation, a designer and manufacturer of heavy-duty commercial battery electric vehicles, introduced us to the Tray BEV, a reimagined cabover truck with 0 emissions in mind.
Behind me is the Nicola Tray BEV. It's the fully electric Class 8 truck capable of hauling up to 82,000 pounds gross combined vehicle weight. Powered completely battery electric is how you store the energy. There is no engine on this vehicle. It's actually an E-axle with 2 motors that drive the front rear axle. The 9 battery packs feed this motor and give it a lot of torque, about 645 continuous horsepower. Each battery is roughly 80 kilowatts a piece. One of these is a typical battery you see in a classic EV on the road today. And we have 9 of them on board, giving this truck a range of up to 330 miles. This truck is a cabover design. We are reintroducing the cabover to North America. As you can see, it looks a little different than a conventional. A little bit a better turning radius, better visibility. The drivers really enjoy it. It is not the cabover of old, where you actually sat on the engine, or they called it the doghouse, where there was lots of vibration, fumes, and overall not a great experience. So taking a look inside, there's a lot of space in this vehicle. I had a customer that was 6'7" and actually able to stand up in the vehicle. So when a driver's waiting, for example, at a port, they have the ability to stretch and stand up in the cab and really utilize all of the comfort features that we've put in the vehicle.
First thing they're going to see is how high they sit. We're a few inches taller than the actual standard conventional tractors of today. Cabovers, of course, were much of the thing back in the 60s, 70s, and into the early 80s. Cabovers kind of went away, but there's always been this nostalgia with the true trucking industry to bring these back. And so Nicola partnered with Iveco to bring this cab to life, which we like to call the IKEA of commercial vehicles. With the storage area, and of course in Europe it's all about space management, and now we've taken that technology and brought it to the United States to make it even better, more convenient, and also to lessen the actual physiological effects that drivers experience almost every day on the road, especially those who drive over the road. It's quiet, it's comfortable, and most of the drivers that I've personally spoke to have all made that same comment, that when they get home at the end of the day, they feel energized still, that they could go out and do it again right away.
This is how you charge the vehicle. CCS1 is the standard in the industry. This vehicle right now is capable of taking a charge of 175 kilowatts, which charges the truck in about 90 minutes and gives it that range of up to 330 miles. New technology is always more expensive. This truck is generally about 2 times what you would pay for a diesel tractor. However, you make up that difference in the total cost of ownership of the vehicle. Not paying diesel, you're paying electricity, which is substantially cheaper. And again, with less moving components on the vehicle, we expect maintenance savings about 30% over the life. Battery technology will continue to improve, and we will continue to improve this truck. This is our Gen 1 truck. Next year, we're really excited to launch the Tray fuel cell. That truck will run 100% on gaseous hydrogen, 70 kilograms on board, giving it a range of up to 500 miles.
The service for Nicola's entire line of vehicles expanded last year with the inclusion of Quinn Company. And we can not say how pleased we are and thankful to Quinn for inviting us out to take a look at this vehicle today. First time in Kern County, they brought it up over the grapevine. Great success. This thing is going all over the country, and we in Kern County had an opportunity to have it right in our backyard with big supporters of Do the Math and the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Quinn Caterpillar. So once again, thanks to Mike Ford and his entire staff out there. Can't thank you enough for the opportunity to come out and visit with you guys. And that's pretty amazing, that cab over. I mean, I don't remember, I mean, I'm sure I do, being an old man kind of, but when people could stand up in the cabs of trucks, I mean, it just seems like they're just so much bigger, and it's a beautiful looking vehicle all around, I would, you know. But 90 minutes, charge that thing up, and you can go over 300 miles. So, have you heard anything about electric vehicles?
Yeah, I've heard a bit about it.
Okay, yeah, a lot of new vehicles coming out, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, you know what? That is today's breaking math in the news right there. First time this year we've had breaking news, and it is breaking news because that actually happened this morning and went up until 3 o'clock this afternoon. So in order for the guys to get this turned around and have it on air ready to go at 4:30, kudos to them. Nice round of applause for everybody that was involved in that. All right. Elijah is an 8th grade math student. I keep saying math student because we had senior in high school yesterday from South High, and concentrating on her math class of calculus. But anyway, so Elijah is an 8th grade student at Thompson. So other than math, because you don't have to say math is your favorite subject, but is there a particular class that you like more than others?
Probably my history class.
History class. Are you doing American history in 8th grade?
Yeah.
Okay. And what is there? I mean, is there anything particular about the history class that you like?
I like the stuff he's teaching us about it, and I also like how energetic the teacher is, and how like he's willing to help us out during it, stuff like that.
So that's important, right? You want somebody that's, you know, energetic in class, wanting to help you out, right? So that makes class a little bit easier, right?
Yeah.
All right, good. Well, I'm glad you enjoy history. History is always a lot of fun to learn, especially American history, since we live in America, right?
Yeah.
You ready to do some more math?
Yep.
You like money?
Yep.
Who doesn't, right? All right, head on over to the board, young man. We've got a problem for you. So Carla has only dimes and quarters in her piggy bank. The value of her dimes is exactly 5 times the value of her quarters. What is the least number of coins she could have in her piggy bank if there's at least 1 quarter? So you and Cindy can talk about this, kind of explain how you would like to approach this problem, and take it away.
Well, I think there could at least, well, I know for 2 quarters, that's 50, and then there could be 15 dimes for, and that would be 5 times the amount of 50, but I don't know.
So let's make, I don't know, a pattern or something maybe? Yeah. So they said there's at least 1 quarter.
Yep.
So write one, what's the value of the quarter?
25 cents.
Okay, so write that down. So we would have to have our dimes be 5 times that amount in value. What's the value of a dime?
10.
And so what's 5 times 25?
That is 125.
Okay, so since that's 125, is there any way you could make that with just dimes?
No.
So we know it can't be 1 quarter, right?
No.
So let's try 2 quarters. So that's worth 50 cents. So what is 5 times that amount?
5 times that amount is 150. No.
Times 50. What's 5 times 5?
5 times 5 times, oh, 125? 250.
Yeah, because you would just 5 times
yeah.
0 and 5 times 5. Okay, so can we make 250 with dimes?
Yes.
How many dimes would we need to do that?
You would need 25 dimes.
Okay. So since we can make that, that's probably the least amount, right? Because that's the least amount of quarters we could have.
Yes.
All right, so how many quarters is that?
That is 2 quarters.
And then how many dimes did you say?
25.
So how many coins altogether?
That would be 27 coins.
27 coins? Okay. So let's check and see if that, like write that down right there. All right. So what do you think? Sounds good, huh?
Yeah.
Because we know we have to have at least 1 quarter, so we can't just make it with dimes or anything like that.
Yep.
Okay.
27 coins is correct.
27
Nicely done. You got that done a little quicker than I anticipated right there, but I like the way you were thinking about it, and
Yeah,
that's
he's on top of it.
why you were able to do it so quickly. So now you have a bonus problem. Just like we had bonus breaking news math in the news today, you get a bonus problem today, young man. So go ahead and erase that board. And this is something that we do with a lot of students that come in. It's a fun little game we like to call the 4 4s. So, you're familiar with the 4 4s, Cindy? So
Yes.
put 4 4s up there, spaced apart a little bit, Cindy, so that Elijah knows not to put them too close. So Elijah, I'm going to do one for you, okay? In between the 4 4s, we can put any mathematical symbols we want. add, subtract, multiply, divide, parentheses, brackets, square root symbols, anything we want, as long as it has to do with mathematics in between there. Even decimal points if we wanted to, all right? So I'm going to put an addition symbol. So go ahead and put an addition symbol between the first two 4s. And put another addition symbol between the next two. And then put a division symbol between the next two. Now, are you familiar with the order of operations?
Yes, I vaguely know about it.
Okay, well good. Well, this would be a perfect opportunity for you to practice a little bit. So what I'd like you to do is explain to Cindy what you think you need to do up there first. And then Cindy will help you if you get stuck a little bit.
First, I think you need to add the first two 4s.
Okay, so let's talk order of operations. Do you remember what the order is?
Parentheses.
Okay.
I don't remember the second one.
Okay, so did you ever learn like just a mnemonic device or anything to help you? Like PEMDAS?
Oh,
or,
yeah, PEMDAS.
So I know people use that a lot. So this just tells you parentheses. Do you remember what E stands for?
No,
So that's your exponents.
exponents.
So that'd be if you had any, exponents on there. Multiply and divide go together. So we don't want to write them separate. Whichever one you see first, you do first out of the two, from left to right. And then add and subtract go together. So in this problem, you would check, do I have parentheses?
Yes. No,
No, right? Is there any exponents?
no.
Is there any multiplication or division?
There's division, yes.
So you should start with that one then.
Yeah.
So go ahead and do the division part.
4 divided by 4 is 1.
Yeah, so let's just like write it under here since we know we still have like this other stuff with it. Okay, so bring down the rest of the numbers that you didn't change yet. Yeah, well, let's see. Well, we changed this one because it went with this one.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
So this one's just gonna scooch over there. Just put the one right here. So this answer gets replaced by the one. So the add is still there. Okay, so you did the multiplication and division, and there is not any more multiplication or division. So now you're on the last step of add or subtract.
Yeah, so you add the two 4s, which make it 8, and then you bring down the 1. And then you also bring down the addition symbol.
Yeah, exactly.
And then after you add those two numbers, and then it'll make 9.
Good, nice.
There you go. So up on the very top where you put equals 1, just erase that 1 and put an equal 9 up there so that some students might look at that and go, well, why does he have 1 up there if the answer is really 9?
Yeah.
There we go.
Thank you for that. Now, over on the left-hand side of the board, Elijah, where you are, do you see how Cindy wrote a P on the right-hand side over there? Over there, I want you to write a G. Okay, and then under that, I want you to write an E. But next to it, I want you to put an R. And then you can go ahead and put the MD underneath like the other one, and then the A and the S like the other one as well. So this is something a little different than PEMDAS, where people would say, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So a lot of kids kind of grow up with that saying right there. So this is a little bit different. So the G is for grouping. So Cindy, you want to discuss a little bit with Elijah what grouping is and how it's different than only parentheses?
Sure. So when we
And you
say
can erase stuff
parentheses, we really,
Illustrate however you like.
yeah, so when we say parentheses, it's just one type of grouping symbol. But since there's many others, you could have brackets, and that would count as a group, so it would still count as that first step. You can have, sometimes you might have absolute value bars with a math problem inside, and that would count as a grouping. You might have a square root where there's something to do inside there, and so that would count as a grouping. So it's any type of grouping symbol. Sometimes you'll have a fraction bar, but there's math on top and math on the bottom. So this counts as you group that together on top. So you solve that first, and you solve that before you worry about the division bar for the fraction. So there's many different kinds of grouping symbols other than just the parentheses. So the G represents to remind you of the different ones.
And I wanted to bring that up because sometimes students will see brackets or something else and go, well, I don't know where that goes because it's not parentheses, which is why grouping is the new preferred terminology, I guess we're going to go with. So then, you know about the E for exponent, correct?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what the R might stand for? Because multiply and divide go together. Add and subtract go together. So instead of having an exponent, what would be the opposite of that? Do you know? And if not, Cindy's right there to help you out.
No, I do not know what the opposite would be.
So, if
So
you want to
radical?
find this- right.
So I think you said off air that you're getting ready to work with square roots.
Yeah.
So that symbol is called a radical. So when you say 3 squared equals 9, that's your exponent version of it. And then when you say the square root of 9, that's your radical. So square root is a radical, and that equals 3, since that's the number that you square to get the 9 inside. So that's a radical symbol, is like a square root symbol. Or it might be a different kind of root, but anything where you see that.
So hopefully that helps you a little bit because you're probably going to see a lot of those different symbols if you haven't already seen them, because as you go through 8th grade, you might see them this year, but you'll definitely see them at some point in high school again. All right, you want to try another 4 4s?
Yeah.
All right, so get rid of all of that stuff and you can go ahead and put 4 new 4s up there.
Hold on, okay. So we're erasing everything?
Yeah, I was going to say, you just erase the whole board if you want at one time.
I know, you can click the little, that's okay, we're almost done, so. Well, I could just add the 2 4s.
All right, so spread out your 4 4s
It's okay.
again.
Okay, so let's.
So Elijah, I would like you to select a number between 0 and 9.
4.
4, excellent. So at the end, put equals 4. So I want you to manipulate all of those other 4s however you want to so that the answer comes out to be 4.
So
how do you
you're
think
going to
you
be
would do it?
putting in the different math operations, parentheses or grouping symbols, even the radical if you want, to try and get that as your answer when you go through the order of operations. And you can just start trying some and see if you can, see what you have and then change it up if it doesn't work.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay,
So what would that be?
16. That would be probably 1.
So then that's going to be 17, right? So we know that's a little bit too big. So maybe think, what could I change?
Right, so you guys are going to keep working on that, all right? Keep working on it because you just saw that you got 17, so keep reworking those symbols. Right now we do have one more opportunity to head out with the Bakersfield Police Department and check out what's going on with Devin and the most anticipated part.
Thanks a lot. We're back here with the Bakersfield Police Department Trading Facility here with Detective Joe Woods. It's breach time. So tell us what we've got on our hands right here.
Okay, what we've created in this situation is a fictitious view of a front door for a structure we're trying to get inside. In our scenario, we are imagining there is an armed barricaded gunman inside the residence. We have the SWAT team asking us to put a breach on the door so they can get in quick and try and make it safe. So we created this kind of a situation to best attack the door and defeat it.
So just for the sake of the scenario here, this door in particular is really interesting, and the way that the hinges are laid out actually influences the direction that you're going to come at it, correct?
Hinges are very important because we know from a mathematical standpoint that we want to attack this side of the door and try to make a linear charge detonate straight down the doorway, basically eliminating the need for the hinges, which would allow the door to fall inward. If we were to try to attack something over here, there could be other locks that we can't see, maybe a door plug at the bottom that won't let us open the door. Once we attack this hinge side, there's nothing left, the door falls in. It's a great job.
Physics and engineering in practice.
Exactly.
Detective, I think we're ready to go.
It's awesome, let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. All right, Detective, walk us through what we're seeing here.
So you're seeing a SWAT operator approach the door. Behind him is the technician assigned to the breach. He's peeling the tape off the back and he's applying the breech to the door. It's very important that he gets that precise, straight, and accurate all the way down to the bottom, not leaving any gaps on top or bottom, because we want to ensure that the blast is clean from the top all the way to the bottom. Now he's pulling out the actual tactical firing assembly and capping into the charge. This is basically the leash that gets us away from the charge itself so we can detonate safely. Once it's capped in, he's going to actually put some of the line under the foot of that operator, and that's so he can run the line safely against the wall out of the way, because we don't want to see anybody get caught up and trip and tangle on this line. Then the operators are clearly moving away from the door. And the reason why they take that lethal coverage is because when we apply the charge to the door, we still don't know if that armed gunman is going to come out and potentially want to engage in a gunfight.
Breacher has control. Breacher has control! Breacher in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Detective, look what we did. Right as you predicted, clean cut right along the side here.
Yep, we would call this a successful breach, meaning that the charge operator has functioned, it successfully fell out of the doorway and allowed our operators inside. There are times that the charge won't do what's necessary, that's a negative breach, but that's why the math has to be precise for this exact reason.
So there's a lot going on here. Somebody watching at home might be curious as far as how to get involved in this process. So what are the types of things they should start to consider or thinking about now, and what does that path generally look like?
Well, typically speaking, to be on the bomb squad of the police department, you first have to be an officer. You have to be ready to go through an academy, be hired on, go through that process and become a uniformed officer. Then when you're an officer, you're eligible to be hired on to the bomb squad, which is a collateral duty. Things you might want to consider is your ability to understand and be interested in explosions in general. Things you might want to also consider is your strength. The equipment we get involved with can be very heavy. The suits we wear are very heavy. And if you are a little scared of some loud booms, maybe it's not for you. But if it's a good time, come on in and join us.
So components of math, physical education, as well as physics too. A lot of science in there.
A lot of science, but I think the biggest thing is just the desire and drive to want to do this, because while it's a lot of fun, it has a lot of side effects to the math and things like that, that if you're not committed to those things in general, it's not going to work out.
Well, Detective, thank you so much. And to the rest of
guys.
your team, we want to show a token of our appreciation by offering you our Do the Math tile.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Detective Joe Woods, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Right now, we'll go ahead and send it right back to the studio. Mike, take it away.
Devin, also thanks to the Bakersfield Police Department, especially the bomb squad, and glad they didn't blow up the tile right there as well. Thanks to those guys once again. All right, Elijah, what did you do on this final problem?
Well, for the first part of the problem, I had put a square root for that 4, and I put a division symbol and right next to those 2, subtraction symbol, addition symbol, and another square root. For the square root, those would go first since you're technically dividing it. So it's 2, so you would have, and then another 2, and then you would have to subtract those 2, which would be 0. Then you would bring down the addition symbols, and then you would add those 2 to make 4.
Good,
Okay,
so you
so
got
I'm
2
gonna-
plus
I'm gonna-
0 plus 2, so you got 4
I'm
all
gonna
together.
fix it.
There you
There
go.
we go.
All
So,
right.
otherwise-
Elijah, did you learn a little something today?
Yeah?
Did you have fun?
Yeah.
There you go. Until we meet again, continue to do the math.
Major support for Do the Math has been provided by Chevron, the Kern County Superintendent of Schools, Edison International, Dolly Strong Credit Union, California Resources Corporation, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, Bakersfield City School District, and Kern High School District, with additional production assistance provided by these supporters of education in Kern County and throughout the state of California.